In this video, I'm going to show you how I paint two styles of heraldry, both based on quartering. On Sir Pigersmond here, I'll be doing a basic quartering design called Party per Cross, but first the shield needs to be base coated. I'm base coating with Spotlight Yellow from TTCombat because it has amazing coverage. The other colour I'll be using in the quartering will be black. This is to match the design on the knight card for this character in half tilt. I begin with Spotlight Yellow, and after the first coat has dried, I apply another. Repeat this until you have a nice solid colour to work from. I did 2 coats with this yellow to achieve my finished result, but depending on what paint you use or how much you have thinned it, you may need more. With the yellow coat dry, we're ready to begin lining in our heraldry. I use a light grey because any mistakes can easily be tidied up with the yellow. As you'll see here, my lining isn't exactly straight, but that's fine at this stage. Split the shield in half, then again for the quarters. Take your time with the lining, but as I said before, mistakes at this stage are easy to fix, so don't panic if you make a slip up. I mark which will be painted black with a squiggle in the quarters. Once the grey is dry, you can tidy up the lines in the areas that will remain yellow if needed. For your brush, you want a fine pointed one that you are comfortable with. A common mistake is using a small brush. These don't hold water or paint for long and end up drying up fast. It's fine for painting eyes, but we're here just taking our time and we want plenty of time to work with the paint. Now that the lining and tidying up is dry, we move on to the black paint. At this step, you want to make sure your brush has a good point on it. Take your time and fill in where you want the black quarters to be. I like to paint in a section of the line, then I fill in beside it, just in case I've loaded the brush up a little bit too much and I could make a mess. This is what you see me doing here. As you can see, this quarter takes me a while for what is just painting a black square. But taking your time here means that you won't take more time later to tidy it up. Any grey lining that I leave can again be fixed simply with the yellow, but painting over black is an absolute nightmare. Again, apply a couple layers to get a good solid coat. Now to add a highlight. We'll add a little bit of white to the yellow we used. For this highlight, I'll be painting the top and left sides of the quarters. I thin this down a bit and apply it like a glaze, painting towards where I want the colour to be the most intense. I do this on both of the yellow quarters. For the black quarters, I make a dark grey by mixing a small amount of black with the grey we used, and apply the highlight in the same manner, glaze to the top and left. This finishes the quartering heraldry, but by using the same ideas, we can create an even more intricate looking pattern. For this, we will paint Sir Roxburgh's checkerboard pattern shield. I had already painted the shield white and applied a wash over it to give us a very light grey to work from and will allow us to highlight the squares later. Initially, the checkerboard looks daunting, but we've already painted 4 squares using lines, and this is no different. Using the grey from earlier, we will quarter the shield, as we had done with Sir Pigismund. Then take each of the quarters and quarter them again. This will give us our checkerboard pattern. I found that my middle line was a little bit off, so I ended up with a 5th row on the very bottom of the shield, but that's perfectly fine. On the card art, you'll notice it has 7 rows, and that didn't distract you. So take your time and paint your guidelines in. Using black, we can begin to paint in our squares. As we're working in much smaller squares than before, take your time and try to be as neat as possible. But any mistakes can always be fixed, so don't panic. As you can see by my head getting in the way of the camera, I like to get close to the model as I'm painting these details, and you may find that helps too. As we did before, using a dark grey, we can highlight the black squares. As these are much smaller than the other shield, just painting a small triangle on the top left of the squares is enough to get the effect. Then in the white squares, we can use pure white in the same way. These techniques can be used for painting in any colour you want to achieve any heraldry. From party per cross, such as with Sir Pigismund and Sir Shardan the Sharp, to party per bend sinister, as with Milo the One-Eye. The same techniques can be used for adding patterns to models' clothing, like what I've done with the cape on Milo the One-Eye, or on Sassiclops from Rumbleslam, where I've just lined in the stripes and filled them in much in the same way as with the quartering on the shields. The idea of breaking things into simple shapes even transfers to painting tattoos onto your models, which I'd be happy to cover in a later video, making simple shapes look like a more intricate design. The checkerboard pattern can even be applied to more difficult shapes, such as the Queen of Hearts from Rumbleslam's corset. Painting on a rounded surface has some difficulties, but taking your time and planning out with a light colour makes it a lot easier to accomplish.